Meeting being recorded. Okay, got it. So we have, so far, hopefully Matt Lucas will join us, but we have Matt Shipley, Brian, myself, Bob, Chief Hawk, Mark, and Falco, and looks like a citizen who is calling themselves random. Um, we are going to start with the minutes from the April meeting. Let me pull those up here. And I just sent, well, June sent the minutes out probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. So hopefully you had a chance to look at them. Oh, and there's Carolyn. Good morning. Um, hopefully you had some time to look at the April minutes previously. If not, maybe you could just scan through quickly. Any comments, questions, edits?
None for me.
Okay.
Looks pretty straight. Oh, looking at the agenda. Sorry.
All right. So I motion to approve those minutes. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Anyone opposed? Oh, there's Matt. So actually, that brings me to, so the minutes were approved because there's 3 of us. Although I added to the agenda, let me close out of this and bring up the agenda. Falco had mentioned for the new ordinance. Good morning, Matt. Other Matt.
Morning.
For the agenda, I'm sorry, for the new approved changes to the ordinance that were approved by council on April 11th, which I did send. Let me pull that up. Basically, the change is that we are going from 3 to 5 members, and that was to be effective immediately. Now, obviously, we can't recruit and add the new members today. We don't have the new members today. However, it does change our quorum and some other procedures. So Falco, maybe you could just speak for a moment, like, does that impact what we're doing here today, or what do we need to do differently other than try to get the new members on as soon as possible?
Yes, I think the concern, if you go all the way to the end of the ordinance, very last sentence actually, where it says effective immediately. So the changes that are made, as you said, going from 3 to 5, and basically throughout these revisions, it indicates that a quorum now would consist of 3, I believe. Let me just scroll to that section. So we wouldn't be able to, in other words, we're operating right now with 3 members, but needing to act as though we have 5 members because of the effective immediately. So we can move forward today because obviously we have enough under the new ordinance for a quorum, and we would be able to vote on things, you know, because we, again, have that quorum. If we would only have 2 members present, where before that might have constituted a quorum, now it would not. Now, I guess the open-ended question until these new board members are appointed would be whether we could then pool our alternates in order to still satisfy the requirements. Conceivably, we could probably do that because even under the old ordinance, the alternates could be used to make up a quorum. So the alternates could still be used to satisfy the new quorum requirements if we needed to do that. But, you know, just wanted to definitely send the message, and I'm sure the town council is aware of these changes and how they impact the board's operations, is to get some new members appointed to fill those additional 2 seats as soon as possible.
Okay, so let me summarize and you tell me if I'm accurate. For today, we don't have an issue because we have 3 full members and 2 alternates. So even if we need the alternates to vote on things, we have the quorum of 3 today. And we need to get the new members on as soon as possible.
Right. And the only time it would become an issue is if we only had 2 full members participating and no alternates to fill in to make up that third required quorum seat now, that's the only time it would become an issue.
Okay, got it. And actually, as I was looking at my calendar, our next meeting would be the third week of June, which is June 15th. I will be on vacation that week. So as long as we can have an alternate step in, we should be able to have a quorum, assuming that we won't be able to have the new members by then. But Carolyn or Bob, I'm not sure who, but maybe you could speak a little bit to the process and the timeline for getting the new members on.
I can let you know, the deadline was this past Friday for the 30 days to receive applications. We had received 2 new applications. And Sandy and I yesterday were going through old ones to make sure that they're still within that 2-year period. So we were getting everything organized and coordinated in terms of getting it out. So if she didn't get it out yesterday late.
She sent the applications.
Yes.
I just don't know. I'm one of them because my term was technically up in December.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm assuming I am not going to be involved in that selection process. I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah, I probably not, Amy, just to avoid any kind of a conflict. I think that Matt, we sent them to you, Matt Chipley, right?
Yeah, you sent the applicants to me. That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay, so we sent them to the 2 of you, plus Carolyn, you should have received them, and Jack Casey should have received them, I believe. So his next step would just be scheduling those interviews.
And I think some of the candidates, maybe several, I'm one of them, have already done the interviews and they were recorded. So if they don't want to re-interview, I'm assuming they wouldn't necessarily need to, but
Yeah.
we would give them that option. Like, do you want another interview or do you want to use your previously recorded interview? I would think that could streamline things a little bit from a timing perspective.
The only reason why I may suggest, you're right, Amy, it would streamline things. We have different people, namely Jack in being involved. It could just change the dynamic of the interview a little bit. That would be the only reason why I would maybe suggest having everyone go through the new interviews.
Okay.
Yeah.
So between Matt and Carolyn, you guys are going to take point and talk about reaching out to people and scheduling those. And
I would say, I mean, I'm just trying to look at the calendar, possibly the 24th next week or the 31st of work. I know Jack's out town Monday. I have things going on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week, but definitely Tuesdays I can make that work. So we can schedule something.
so forgive me, like Jack, love your involvement. Glad you're involved. What is Jack's role? You're our liaison, right, Carolyn?
Yes, and he's the alternate. So if I'm not available, then he's gonna fill in for me.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that Jack would be available if Carolyn wouldn't be.
Okay. And that's great. And I think we should have consistency. So if Carolyn is able to do some of the interviews, I wouldn't want,
Yeah.
same thing with Matt Shipley. So if one person starts, I feel like we should run it like we did the sergeant interviews, have the same people do all of the interviews. Otherwise it's hard to compare and contrast.
Agreed.
All right. So that was, sorry, just pulling up the agenda here. That was the first agenda item. Sorry, I've got people from work like sending me stuff and it's coming over my screen here. There it is. is. Let me pull it up on my home computer. Okay, so next on the agenda, review the Town of McCandless Police advertisement draft. So this was something that Chief Hawk and June drafted for us. So if you could pull that up, I sent it out today as well. And actually, Brian, was it you that was sharing last time? If you don't mind sharing, maybe we could all look at it together, assuming that people have not had the chance to do that yet, since I just sent it out an hour or two ago.
You want me to, Amy? I just pulled it up.
Yeah. Why don't
If you
you?
can, that's great.
Okay.
Yeah, Amy, this is pretty much what we've talked about ad nauseum over the last couple of years. It looks pretty much the same.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's, Chief Hawk had sent us the one from, was it Shaler? Northern Regional, that's who it was. It's interesting you say that, Matt. I don't know that I've seen it written up like this before, but I agree, there isn't anything like surprising or out of the ordinary, but it does. So probably the common element, or what we've talked about, is what's in the ordinance, what we changed, like in the third bullet and the fourth bullet. So this is just, here's how we would advertise this to people. Here's what the common here's what the citizen who's interested in becoming a McCandless police officer would see. Is this attractive? Does it have the elements that would make you think, oh, I'd like to apply for this? Maybe it's not important how we portray it, because if you're going to be a police officer, you kind of know what that means already. But let's just scan through, and I think the bolded items are just a carryover from the changed ordinance. In other words, I don't think they would go into the advertisement bolded. Is that accurate, Chief Hawk?
Looking at the bold areas, you might have a mix there where some might be included, some might. Here I'm looking at, like bullet point 3, some of the bold items seem to be the requirements where have an associate's degree. You might want to advertise that, so people can see what the requirements are going to be for this position. I don't know if we have to, other ones like there, do we need to list that there's a preference for a degree related to law enforcement? That you could probably strike that from an ad. But then you go bullet point 4, hold a valid a driver's license and such. That's probably going to need to be advertised too, just so people can't say that we didn't tell them.
Yep.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, Matt.
Yeah, instead of bolding it, why don't we just separate it out so that 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all bulleted, pointed like with the eyes, and also bullet point number 4 needs to be Roman numeralized, lowercase Roman numeralized, or to be consistent with the other numbering pattern. But I don't think you should bold things. Otherwise, people just tend to go read the bolded portion and not everything else. If you want to make everything so that it's easy to read, don't jam it together in a paragraph like we have here.
Yeah.
And I think right now it's bolded just to indicate what was maybe changed in the ordinance. Is that?
Yeah, it doesn't have to remain bolded, and we can make some other adjustments as long as the language is what you're looking for. What I would envision with this is that this would be what is referred to through a link or something on our website. This would be what we would post on the website, since it's all inclusive. And then we would streamline the actual advertisement and point people in the direction of the website for more information.
Yep. And that same website spot, link, page, whatever, would have the application right there. So when people go, yeah, okay. And who would help us?
Go ahead, Amy.
Who would help us with that, Bob? Is that Sandy or who does the website?
Well, the website, Sandy or John Bajarski will be able to help you post that information. You know, that can be done in a matter of minutes, really. We have the information. So that the timing of that is not going to be critical. And Chief, can you scroll down to the next page?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think, and then I can work with the chief on streamlining things for the ad itself, or we'll have Sydney Richards, our HR associate, help if we need another set of eyes. But it won't take us any time to actually put the ad in place.
Okay. So I think then what we need to do, it sounds like there's a 30-day window to apply. So once this goes live, they would have 30 days. So we need to say, okay, where are we now? It's May 18th. Can we get it live by Monday? I don't know. I'm just throwing something out there, the 23rd, or next Friday or something. And then we have maybe until the end of June, and then we set a date early July to do. We had talked previously about doing the physical agility test first, and then the exam. Oh, and that's actually written in here. That's good. So we could do it all on the same date if we all hold, say, I don't know, I'm just pulling something out of a hat, but like Saturday, July 9th, for example, to proctor that exam. I don't know that we need more than 1 or 2 people to proctor it, but is that, well, is that timeline sort of accurate, Chief Hawk? Is that what we've done in the past? Like 30 days, and then we set a date for testing. So everyone who applies can say, hold that whatever day it is. And maybe a Saturday doesn't work for the police academy. I'm not sure when they do the physical agility test, but.
Good point. I think you're right, Amy. Agencies that I've seen recently will do them both on the same day, but it'll be a weekday. And the physical agility will happen up at the County Police Academy, so long as they are available for us to utilize. And then immediately following will be a written exam, and make it tricky on a weekday as far as location and who can proctor it. I understand that. We'll have to work through that if that's how the route we go. And Matt Lucas, jump in if you've seen it different ways too, over there in the Bellevue area. But that's what I have seen recently with testing is it's been 1 day physical agility and then right into the written exam for people who pass the physical agility. And the time period, we could probably use whatever you folks want to, whether it's 30-day window or 60-day. We could even, say that the test date will be announced, whenever you when you turn in your application to the police department.
Yeah. Chief, I personally, I don't think we need to go beyond 30 days.
I agree.
I think anything beyond 30 days, people will lose it in their search engines. My suggestion would be to contact the academy, see what dates might be available, maybe 45 days out or so, and work backwards from that date.
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes sense to me. Work backwards from that date from the academy. And I would say if we need Sydney's assistance at all on any of it, give her a few more days. She's trying to finalize position description and advertisement for like some unimportant position that they're trying to do here. I don't know.
We don't need that position.
Do you think we should post the actual testing and everything, only because what if someone has a vacation scheduled or something they might want to know about in advance? They have to reschedule.
Yeah,
what was that, Carolyn? I didn't hear it.
I'm just thinking we should probably post the actual date that we would do the test and stuff, just because we are going into the summer vacation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Has a trip scheduled, I think it's, something we should give them as far advance notice as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just know.
And that way we can plan for that, let's just say it's July 7th, I don't know, and they're going to be gone that week. Then we can say, okay, there's 2 people who have conflicts that day. We can have an alternate test date for just a couple people the next week or something like that.
Yeah.
So Chief Hawk, can you reach out to the police academy and find out what days of the week they do the physical agility testing? I mean, I have some flexibility to be there, like say in the afternoon on some weekdays, but depending on the day and the time, we can see which members are available then to proctor.
Absolutely.
Chief, do you remember whether anybody from the personnel board attended? Well, no, because we've handled the physical agility test differently in the past. We've done that as a condition of employment. Maybe this is more a question for Falco. Do we need to have anybody from the personnel board at the physical agility portion of this, do you think?
No, it's not required, as long as, of course, the chief is there to verify what the outcome of the agility test is. He can relay that information to the members of the board when we go to take when they sit for the written part of the exam.
Okay.
Which is going to be the same day, correct? I mean, that's my
Yeah, I think that's
understanding.
okay.
Absolutely. I'll be there for it so I can relay if anyone fails the physical agility or what have you, I can relay it to the proctors and the personnel board.
Yeah, because my thought was that if, even if some of the personnel board members were available, they wouldn't necessarily need to make themselves available for an entire day. We could have somebody, helping the chief out during the physical agility, and then somebody different proctoring the written. I don't see any conflict with that because they're 2 distinct situations.
Agreed. I think we should all have to take the physical agility test. No, I'm just joking. Although that'd be interesting.
Okay, I can admit I'll fail it. Now, I won't be taking the written test.
I think you could get through the window, Bob. I think you could.
I don't know if it's still as high as it was. I don't know. Maybe with a running start
I'll give you a boost.
and a ladder.
Falco, were you going to say something? I think I maybe cut you off.
No, I wasn't. No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. So any other comments on, I mean, obviously there's some missing information, but maybe we can fill that in over email. It's really just the date and the site and the deadline and the salary. The Northern Regional, I was looking at that one yesterday. I want to say the salary was like mid-90s. Are we at or above that, Chief Hawk?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
When they're fully, I guess when they're at the senior level, 5 years out.
Yeah, top pay.
Not when they're first
Top
hired.
pay.
Yeah, I've seen recent ones come out, how dressed up we want to get, you could, probably put a picture of a McCandless police car or something like that in it, I don't know, online and such. And if there's anything that you folks have seen on these 2 pages that you don't want, maybe you don't want the, certain things advertised. I don't know. Has anything caught anyone's attention that you would like to see removed before we advertise it?
I think more information is going to be better with as competitive as the market is right now.
Yeah. I continue to hear bad news in this regard. Was it South Park? I heard they had 4 people come for the exam.
Yeah, I heard the city of Pittsburgh had was it 20 or 30 and 2 passed?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I heard they can't even put a police academy through. The city's waiting because they can't justify running one.
Well, who's going to contact the police academy to set up the physical agility test? Assuming that's who's running it.
For the physical agility and the academy, either me or the lieutenant, Matt.
Okay, so you're gonna manage setting that up so that we can, when we have that date, we can advertise this then.
Yeah, I guess what I'll ask them, if we're considering advertising this very shortly and we're going to give people a 30-day window, I'll ask them about, where does that put us? Early July, late June, early July. I'll ask them about available dates there, and then I can send it in an email to all you folks, whatever information I get from them, if that works.
Yeah.
Right. I just want to know who was doing it because we hadn't discussed that.
No, that's good clarity. Okay, so Chief, once you get some dates, like if they only test on a Tuesday, maybe we choose from the 2 Tuesdays or whatever, see who's available to help out with the physical agility test. Presumably we would do that first in the morning and then do the written test thereafter in the afternoon. I'm guessing something like that. Or maybe early afternoon, late afternoon, or whatever their time frame is, we can get availability for this group and put that on the calendar. I think we just need to kind of draw a line in the sand. So once we get that out there, we can get moving. So, and then the last piece of this, we linked to the application. So we had looked at the application previously, and I think it's 95% done. Do we need to look at that again? Do you have what you need there, Chief Hawk, or is there some outstanding questions still on the application?
I'm going to pull one up here, share with you folks. I think that I had the one Secretary Denise working on trying to brush this up. This morning, she said to me, she had one question about email. If we want, what we want to ask, we want to ask for one email address or maybe one and an alternate or something like that. But otherwise, she said she thinks in her mind, if you folks want to go through it, I can, send it to you. But that she thinks that we're pretty much, it's there. This is it, obviously.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like we talked about it last couple months, so I think I'm comfortable with what we have.
We were having some issues, but I think hopefully she cleared those up with the Brian knows this, the margins that were on it. I think we might have rectified that.
I don't see why you would need 2 email addresses.
Yeah, I think that can just create confusion. That at least that it would potentially for me.
Yeah, I don't have 2 email addresses. Sorry, what were you saying, Bob?
I was gonna say, I think that having 2 email addresses just could potentially lead into confusion. If we happen to send to one that they don't check or something like that, send an email to somebody with an email they don't check, then it just turns into a mess. I think one and leave it at that.
Yep. And we settled the question. We had been conversing last month about social media accounts. So we're going to ask them for the sites and that we will go in and look at what's available publicly, but not ask for any passwords or anything that the general public wouldn't have access to.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or changes to this application?
Chief, regarding emails, were we asking for emails for like references and prior work for the investigator to use?
I will verify that here, Matt. That's a good call. If we're not, we probably should be, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Job title. We'll get that in there. That should be easy enough to add for all the references and such.
just because I know it can be a pain getting hold of people, and that's an easy way to schedule a phone call or
Yeah.
make contact.
Yeah, that's what I do all the time.
Okay.
Do is schedule that way, and then that way you're not taking a potential reference by surprise and making a phone call or anything and asking a question or two.
Yeah, they probably won't answer the phone now with all the spam calls that come
Yeah,
in.
exactly.
Yeah, we'll have that added. That won't be a problem at all.
Okay.
All right, can you, once you finalize this, Chief, can you just send it out to all of us, just as an FYI?
I was just going to ask you folks. Yep.
Okay. All right, so let's see. Sorry, just looking at the agenda. So we've got I think that's the major business. I think our next order of business, which I took off today because I wasn't sure we were ready to I personally am not ready to talk about the interview questions because I haven't looked at it recently, but if other people want to talk about that, we can. And thinking that we'll have this posted for 30 days, we wouldn't be doing interviews until mid to late July, I'm thinking, because how long does it take to get the standardized test results back, Chief Hawk? I think with the sergeants, it was a couple of weeks. Is that standard?
I think with that company, it is, Amy. I believe, considering how many will probably have apply. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I can't imagine there's going to be a large amount for them to process. I think their turnaround's pretty quick. They're pretty responsive.
Okay, so then we'd be looking to interviews maybe late July, maybe mid-July if we're being optimistic. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I would say in the second half of July sometime.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay.
If it doesn't violate the Sunset Act, would it be okay just to individually email Amy the questions we want to ask
Yeah, she can compile them. That's no violation.
Right. Is that a good idea, Amy? Do you like that idea or what?
I like it. Yeah. Yeah, we don't necessarily need to wait until the June meeting, which, by the way, as I mentioned, I will be on vacation that week. Do you guys want to meet without me? Are we open to moving it to, say, like the 22nd? What's the preference?
I'm open to moving it.
I can move it.
Okay, so June 22nd. Let me just check my calendar and make sure that works before I commit to that. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know about that date though. Hang on.
Carolyn, Chief Fox, does that work for you
She said
versus
it
the,
works for me too.
okay. And Bob, thanks for joining our last meeting. Well, your last meeting, not our last meeting, but best wishes to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. I just wanted to wish everyone well.
Yeah, appreciate your help with this group.
I hope I've helped a little bit at least.
All right, so let me summarize what I have as action items. Carolyn is going to take point on setting up interviews for our new members with Matt and try to get the schedules to align. Chief is going to contact the academy to find out about dates for physical agility testing in the early July time, late June, early July timeframe. Chief is is also going to work with Denise and or June to finalize the application for posting and then email that to all of us as an FYI. All of you are going to send to me any interview ideas, questions, thoughts, and I will compile those and have those ready hopefully before the next meeting, which will be on June 22nd, so that we can finalize the interview questions on the June 22nd meeting versus discussing for the first time on that meeting.
This is interview questions for the new officers, is that correct?
And Chief, just be sure that that meeting change is advertised and posted, so it's a legitimate meeting.
Any other thoughts, items on the processes? I'm not wrapping up yet because we still have other business and public comments, but any other to-dos for this team?
Is anybody aware if there's a prior list of questions that was asked for the last round of new hires?
Yeah, that's a good question, Matt. I think I have those. If I don't, I'll reach out to Chief Hawk. We've kind of talked about it and then we've not really dived deep, but I think I have something like that. I'll take a look. Okay, so any other, I guess, sorry, community engagement updates, I guess is the next agenda item.
So I think we listed it on the agenda. The one I wanted to make mention of was that we are still in the middle of Bigs in Blue. With the end of the school year fast approaching, that program will also be put on hold until next school year. But in the meantime, we had a reverse day on Thursday where we brought our littles to the police department, and they got to do a little ride along here in the parking lot with one of our officers, and we had a good hour or so long tour of the police station and with the young men that are our littles, and I think that was very. I think they enjoyed it, and it was a good time for everybody. And one that happened yesterday, actually, the North Allegheny baseball team was down visiting the police department too. They came with them, brought some pizza with them. Our one sergeant demoed the taser and our newest tool on the street, which is the BOLA wrap. He demonstrated that for the entire baseball team and the coaching staff. So,
and scared the heck out of the town manager in the process.
I heard, Bob, we probably shouldn't go too deep into that one, but yeah, because this BOLA wrap, it sounds, it's loud. How about that? And it wraps subjects up, kind of holds them still for a few moments and allows officers to, if they need to take them into custody for, maybe to get them some help or something like that. It buys the officers a few moments and hopefully keeps everyone on the scenes safe. So
I'd like to see this. I'm imagining some sort of like spider web and it just.
I mean, it's not far from like, yeah.
Not far from that.
In a Batman movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So.
Any plans for another, oh God, I can't even remember the name. What's the thing that Brian and I attended?
The Police Academy?
Yes. Citizens Police Academy, yes.
Yeah, we'll probably begin really hitting that hard after we get beyond the National Night Out, which we got to start diving into that planning of that, which will be probably the first Tuesday in August.
Tuesday of August.
Yeah. We'll do National Night Out and such, and then we'll probably start, as we're doing National Night Out, we'll probably be advertising the Citizens Academy.
Can I ask you a question about that? Is there a way to make, do an academy for, let's say, 13-year-olds, just kind of like to, I don't know, focus on the younger ones? Because I had a 12-year-old in our community reach out to me, and he asked me if he could come in and meet with you, and that's why I was calling you. But anyhow, but we have some younger kids here who really want to look into like the law enforcement, maybe making this a career. And I think if we could give the younger ones a chance to learn a little bit more, ask questions, and
I know that they run, we'll have to look into it. The state police anyway do like
they
a
do.
camp cadet.
He signed up for that, but he was wondering if we had anything local. for, like, our
Well,
town.
we'd probably have to sit down and talk with you guys in council and see,
Yeah.
you know, as far as, you know, I guess liability with juveniles and such, you know, if it's something that,
Even if it's like a consolidated, 2-day program or, whatever.
there was something else too that probably was it a few months ago that they called it an Explorer program.
Yeah.
That's
Over, do you know Matt, more about it, Matt?
We had an Explorer program when I first started, and it's a huge. It requires dedication of resources because it's not a one and done kind of thing. Our program, I want to say it was either bi-monthly or monthly meetings, and it was a group that was open to anybody that 12, 13-year-olds that were interested in law enforcement, and they would come out. We had uniforms for them, like not police uniforms, but uniforms for the Explorers, patches, and they would have meetings, kind of come out and do stuff with us sometimes as far as seeing how we did things, ride-alongs, and then we would take them and do stuff as well, like trips to the 911 center, stuff like that. But it's the officers that were involved in it, like it was a lot. So just aware of the dedication of that resource.
This conversation's giving me a few ideas that I can run past you, Chief.
Okay.
To mull over.
Does anybody have a ongoing or current Explorers program running right now?
The only thing I had heard was I think West Deer or Indiana Township were dipping their toes into it. I think they might be joining forces with Hampton, and I hadn't heard if they got that off the ground. They were gauging interest a few months ago, Matt.
Maybe we could
Gotcha.
do something that would be between us, Franklin Park, just within the NA district, and let everyone take a part and, I don't know, organize it. I don't know, it doesn't have to be something so complex, but I just think that there's interest in the younger ones, and we should probably try to make something available to them.
Yeah, I love the community engagement stuff. If you guys don't already, if you're on social media, follow McCandless Police Department on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and you can get updates there. I like seeing what's going on with the baseball group having pizza, and so put a plug in there. Okay, good. Any other community updates? Didn't mean to cut you off there.
Those are the recent ones that come to mind. Looking ahead here. I'm sure we'll have some surface at the moment. I don't have anything on my board, but that's just my board.
Okay. And I know you said, Chief Hawk, that you or maybe more members of the department were in training. I think I'm curious, like, what's the training focus been recently, or because I know when we interviewed sergeants, a lot of them were excited to see that there's more training being offered recently than there had been in the past. So I'm just curious what the subject of the training was.
Most recently, I can say, Amy, that I did 2 weeks. It's called POLEX. It's through Penn State. It's a police executive training on managing your agency and your employees. So hopefully that gave me some, ideas on things I can maybe implement here.
Nice.
There was a 1-day event that I took a few of my command staff to that was put on by the FBI. And anything that the feds do is always informative, and it dealt with a handful of things, among others, some online internet type training. And they talk about some of their old cases and such. And it's very interesting and informative. Trying to think here. I mean, we have regular training. The SRT team obviously does their thing. They do that on a regular basis. Sergeant Madden and his K9 training. But in the last few weeks, we have had some, and it kind of, like I said, it's on development of the department and the employees. Leading with emotional intelligence was the catchphrase in the POLEX, the 2-week POLEX course.
Oh, Interesting. I'm certified in that, so. I'll
nice.
Be curious to hear more about what you thought of
Yeah,
it.
you and I will have to compare notes.
Yeah. All right. Other business, or we can open it up for public comments. Looks like we lost random, but we have Trish and I think that's it in terms of other guests.
Very good.
Okay. Any other business before we close out?
Just wanted to say I've enjoyed working with all of you. So,
Thank you. Wish you well.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
I'll see you around the neighborhood.
Thanks,
Not-
Bob. Good luck.
Okay.
Enjoy your next venture.
I think I will. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We
Take care,
will
thanks.
meet again on June 22nd.
Okay.
Take care.
And